Well, my name is Bobby Griffith, and I am a minister at City Presbyterian Church in Midtown. And one of the interesting things about how kind of moving from brokenness to wholeness, how my wife and I became involved with foster care and adoption is through our own story of how things didn't work out the way we planned. Now, when we were in seminary, one of the things that you learn in seminary is anthropology. So you learn about humanity and what, in the particular tradition I'm in Presbyterianism, you learn about how human beings have intrinsic dignity and they're worthy of honor and respect, and how every person is made to flourish, and that we have this great giftedness and capacity and all of these things. That's great up in your head, right? And as we were planning our future together, my wife Jennifer and I said, well, we'll have our kids first, and then, if we're going to be ministers, you've got to do that whole widow and orphan thing. So we'll tack on some other kids after that. That's not a very compassionate way of looking at child welfare or dignity or adoption. And the way that I can't speak for my wife, but I can speak for myself. The way that I learned the necessity for compassion when it comes to kids without a home is through infertility. Both my own as well as my wife's. And so as we were wrestling for several years with the pain and the questioning and wondering why, we chose to turn that into purpose, saying, well, maybe there is a different way for us to be a family. And so we entered into the arena of foster care and adoption. And through that struggle, not infertility, but learning to navigate that system, we met the boy who would eventually become our son. His name is Esteban Samuel. He goes by Sammy. And we learned firsthand the experience of a kid in foster care. We met Sammy when he was almost 2, and he was born in Missouri, and his siblings, he has 5 siblings, who all live in Oklahoma City. Yet, because he was born in Missouri, the state of Missouri had jurisdiction over him. And from the time that he was born until he moved in with us in less than 2 years, he lived with at least 5 different families. He had around a dozen social workers, and he had no stability. If it wasn't for, and just to give you a perspective about his life, the last home that he lived in, Mama Cheryl, we still keep in touch with her, she kept him for over a year. So really, most of the instability in his life came in the first 6-8 months. He even crossed state lines to Oklahoma and was sent back because some paperwork wasn't done correctly. Fast forward to when we picked him up to bring him home. The summer of 2013, we picked him up at the Department of Social Services for the state of Missouri, which is in Kansas City. We met the social workers, and this is not the social workers' faults. This is just the condition of the system. We met the social workers in the garage, the parking garage of social services, and out comes our cute little boy who will be living with us forever with all of his worldly possessions in a trash bag. That was pretty hard to see. It was pretty hard to see. And it opened our eyes to some realities for both Oklahoma and nationally. There are different statistics with how many kids could go into that need permanent homes or are in foster care. In Oklahoma, we have about 9,600, is that correct? 9,600 kids in foster care. You can look at the statistics and see that if someone doesn't have a permanent home, that instability from growing up in those environments and being moved around is almost a pipeline to incarceration. And there's a great need. There's a great need for love and compassion. There's a great need for communities to begin to see kids in foster care or in need of adoption not just as statistics or numbers, but human beings who are created with a purpose, who are endowed with dignity and honor and respect. And to know that it's not these kids' fault that they are in the condition they find themselves, but that we have a moral imperative as a society, as fellow human beings, to enter into that instability, to enter into that pain, to enter into that suffering, and even to enter into that sadness. One of the things that has been so interesting, Sammy's last foster parent, she did a fantastic job. She too was adopted, fostered and adopted. And when she became older, she basically opened up her home to foster kids. One of the most amazing gifts that she gave to us, besides being a wonderful foster parent to Sammy, was this beautiful picture memory book with pictures, which is rare. Very rare to have. But in the beginning, when he would look at that, and I think little kids are much smarter than what we give them credit for. In the beginning, when we would show that to him, he would become angry. It's two. He would become angry, and there was something viscerally wrong when he would look at those pictures. It's almost as if he knew that what happened to him wasn't the way things are supposed to be. Over time, as he has lived with us, and he's just an amazing, gifted human being. He loves Ben's kid, Satchel, a lot, and their friends. We have started the process to go with round 2 with DHS and foster to adopt. We don't have a placement yet, but hopefully that will happen. But we have seen these pressing issues. There's needs for love and compassion, but also, too, clearing misinformation. So many people, I serve on the board of Anna's House Foundation. So many people think that foster care and adoption are expensive things, and they're not. They're almost free if you don't count the tax money that goes into that. So you've prepaid for your adoption through your taxes. You pay your doctor for a physical, and they're basically, do you have a pulse? Yes, you can raise a child. That costs $50, $50. The cost is much higher because you're opening your home, you're opening your life, but you're also living in solidarity with another human being. You're also providing stability. You're also providing care. Challenges. We have to we have to find people who will open their homes. Being a minister, one of the things that we have done at our church is partnered with organizations to bring those in and to speak to our people directly about how they can become involved. And we've had multiple families who've become involved in the foster care system. And I think we have to start looking at the issue on a smaller scale. What is my social influence? Where do I have influence? And how can I use that to embetter the life of someone else? And so we have to ask questions about how do we make compassionate choices in order to see people realize their potential as a productive citizen, a human being who is gifted and talented and full of dignity and honor and respect. We have to look around and say, who is doing good work? One of the great privileges that I have with Anna's House Foundation, we were able to secure some land in Luther and to begin fundraising to build homes. One of the reasons why that is important is that when children are extracted from whatever situation the state needs to extract them from, oftentimes sibling groups can end up in different rooms or even different houses. And we have these homes that we have built, I believe we're on our 6th, so that in that horrible moment, so imagine, you have 3, brothers and sisters, and they get taken apart. They don't even know why they're being put in this strange person's car at the middle of the night and being taken away. So it's the worst experience you could possibly have, almost. We build these homes so the kids can be in the same room together, because all they really have in that situation is one another. And so that's been an amazing thing to be a part of, is to, I mean, I'm only on the board, so it's not like I'm a social worker or someone like that, but to be a part of an organization that says that these relationships are important and that in that pain there is still some good that can be done for them. And so I've been honored to work with Anna's House. I have friends who have adopted through Deaconess. We have folks in our church who have adopted through Deaconess, and they do wonderful work. We also have seen lots of good work from Angels and Oklahoma Foster Wishes. And so there are places where you can be involved as an individual if you can't open up your home, but also organizations that are doing just amazing things. And also, too, last thing is the social workers for DHS need our support. We've had several different social workers assigned to us, and they are overworked, underpaid. They are idealists, and that's good. But if we are not offering care and support to them just as citizens and coming alongside them, they're just going to end up quitting and finding another career. And we have to humanize that aspect as well, because it's our social workers who are on the front lines of so much of this pain and dysfunction, and they're just trying to help. And we too can come alongside them for the sake of the children in our city and state. Thank you.